What's up, guys? If you're new to this channel, my name is Mike. I am a fitness coach and a mindset coach, and for the past 5 years, I've been in the men's workspace doing various modalities and learning with a lot of different coaches and people to become a better person, training others, working on myself. And in this video, I want to talk to you about my addiction to porn, okay? Because for years, I was consumed by this parasitic type of relationship with pornography, and it was only recently that I finally broke free, and because of it, my life changed 180 degrees. And so that's what we're going to dive into in this video. This is completely unscripted, and this is the way I like to talk. This is where I have the most fun expressing myself. And so I'm going to do my best to provide you with as much value as possible and tell you a little bit about my journey. So let's get right into it. I started watching porn when I was 12, maybe younger. It's one of those things where, you sneak around because you know that there is this thing and you're not supposed to do it. And it was one of those things for me. Because it was taboo, because it was forbidden, that just made me want to take peeks at it more and more. And even as a kid, your sexuality is budding and you're curious about things. What's more, I went to Catholic school from kindergarten to 12th grade, and it was even more taboo of the preaching of no sex before marriage, the sins and all these different things, lust, all of that was being programmed in me. So anyway, I got like an evacuation warning for the fires here, and I just took the map. It's not like the Palisades fires. It's not in this immediate vicinity, so I think it was just a heads up. It's still a little ways away. It looks like it's going west, but super scary stuff. Anyway, long story short, I started watching porn and I started masturbating and doing all that stuff, right? Like most kids do. And the problem with this stuff is that society accepts it. Like it's almost like he's being a kid. It's whatever. And the thing is, the people that are saying this grew up with a different type of pornography. I don't think pornography is good at all in any form or fashion, but reading a magazine or a book is much different than high-speed internet. Because what happens is when you're on a high-speed internet connection and you're able to sift through videos, like just scrolling through fucking videos, it overloads your mind with so much fucking dopamine. Because think about it, right? When we were tribes people, we only had a select number of mates that we could pair with. Like the distance to travel to mate with somebody was so much less than it is currently. Now we have cars, we can drive, we can fly, we can go anywhere. But not only that, in your phone or in your computer, you have literally a unlimited amount of options. And so what happens is when you watch a video of porn and you masturbate, okay, your brain thinks that you're having sex. And the problem with that then is you just want to keep going back for more, right? It's biologically programmed into us to release all of these chemicals that feel good once we have sex with somebody, that we want to just keep doing it. We want to keep reproducing. And so when you're watching porn, you're hijacking the brain with a super normal stimulus that is pornography. And so it's constant dopamine hit after dopamine hit. And then what happens is your brain reaches a new threshold of what it needs to get the same hit. It's like a drug addict. First, you're watching just like some very soft stuff, and then it gradually gets more and more hardcore and intense. And before you know it, you're like watching some pretty fucked up shit. Okay, because this is what happened to me. It started that way through high school and then to college. And the thing was, which I found interesting, was I was an anxious kid. And it wasn't until recently that I made the connection where I was like, oh, I am constantly draining my life force by jacking off. I am constantly taking all of these vital nutrients in my body and dumping them out and flooding my brain with this supernormal stimuli that now I've become conditioned that I need this thing. And the thing is, when you have so much supernormal stimuli, real relationships, real intimacy doesn't do it for you anymore. It pales in comparison to pornography. That becomes your new mate. And the thing is, and it seems obvious saying it, that's never going to work. You're just going to end up in a room alone, right? And so what's happening is porn is creating a generation of lonely men. It's not the only thing, but it's a huge contribution to it. Because you can go into the bathroom, you can go into your bedroom and watch this stuff and continue to flood your brain with dopamine. It's like, okay, so it's ruining my relationships. It's making me feel lonely. When, if by the grace of God, you can become intimate with somebody, you might have problems. I have faced ED and issues like this in the past because I was so jacked up on this porn stuff that nothing could compare. So not only is my brain being hijacked, but my body's being hijacked. And it's almost like the Matrix where your life force is being harvested for another purpose. And so what it's doing is it's weakening you. Because now you're having a tough time having real relationships with the opposite sex, the same sex, whatever your thing is, with friendships, even like going outside on a nice, beautiful day. It was hard for me to appreciate it because my mind was so hyped up on dopamine that I couldn't do it. Now, thankfully, I realized this and I started in my early 20s doing some research, and I heard about this whole no-fap community, and I started exploring that, and I started going through periods of celibacy and abstinence from both. It's no-fap, so I'm not fapping, not watching porn, ideally, right? And I went on and off that for years, like literally years. I went a whole year without fapping, and the thing was, it became easier not to fap, but the porn was the problem. And so ultimately, if you no matter how you cut it, porn is always the issue. Okay, so I went back and forth with this for years. I figured out that porn was the common denominator, that I would always go back to porn, not necessarily fapping. And I was like, okay, there's something to this. But the thing is, you can't just say, okay, I'm done, cold turkey. You can, but you really need to realize the consequences, because I've taken that action before, and all it's got me is on these streaks of like, okay, it's been 4 months since I haven't watched porn, and then inevitably a trigger happens and I'm right back in the pit. I'm right back down the dopamine slide of pornography. And so one thing that helped me tremendously was becoming aware of my triggers. Like, okay, say I'm watching a movie and I see there's like a sex scene. That might trigger me. Or I'm on Instagram and I'm scrolling and there's all these big booty girls, right, on Instagram or TikTok, whatever. Trigger. So you need to become aware of these triggers. And so what I would do I would start making a list of everything that triggered me, and then I would systematically go through and get rid of the triggers. So something comes up that triggers me, avert my gaze. Do this, do that. And you hear there's a lot of similarities between religion and what they're espousing, because it's ultimately the healthy way to operate in my experience. And so ultimately the breaking point came where I've been always going back to watching these videos. I had no intimate relationships. I've been single for years, right? And being single is nothing wrong with that, but when it's like for a prolonged period of time, I began questioning, like, okay, what's really going on here? And I had to take a deep look in the mirror and say, okay, I have a problem. And it was really awesome of individuals like Terry Crews. Even Kanye spoke about this, and Russell Brand, other celebrities with addictive personalities or addictive tendencies in the past who were able to have a platform to speak about this really gave me hope. So I started looking into that. And ultimately, I discovered this thing called the easy peasy method. I'm going to link it in the description. It is a PDF, it's a sizable PDF where the author takes the system created for smokers who are trying to quit and adapts it to pornography. Because, like I said in the beginning, society doesn't want you to be strong. It wants to weaken you. And porn is an amazing device for that goal, right? It's free. It doesn't cost you any money. What it costs you is worth more than money. It costs you your vitality, your energy, your life force, all these things, your soul, your spirit, that purposeful drive that propels you forward. The kind of energy that would make a man fight for his country or for his way of life is robbed from you when you watch porn. And I get kind of emotional talking about this because I was such a glutton for it. I was so immersed in it that I couldn't see outside of it. And so ultimately for me, I had to realize I can't have it in my life at all. There is no moderation. It's got to be gone. And so I discovered this easy peasy method through a Reddit post. And I was reading through the book, and one of the things it says is like, don't stop. Just keep watching, right? If you tell a cigarette smoker, like, hey, you hear this all the time, I'm trying to quit smoking. When you're trying to quit smoking, you haven't quit because you're just going to do it. When you really want to quit, you should have quit. And that's the point you have to get to with pornography if you truly want to change your life when it comes to this. It's not like I'm going to try to quit, I'm going to go on a streak, like maybe I'll try. You have to get to the point where you can confidently be aware of the dangers of it and then say, I'm done with it. And I'm done. And I still remember that day because I followed the easy peasy method. And the easy peasy method, the author is even aware, obviously, is like you're going to read it and you're going to stop. And you're going to go back to porn. And you're going to read it again and you're going to stop and you're going to go back to porn. You have to repeat this cycle until you get to the point where things finally change and something clicks for you. That's what you have to get to. And the only way to get to that is to go through the process, is to trust the process and the method of getting rid of it. And so I went through that process, that cycle, because we're motivated by pain and by pleasure. And so the pleasure wants to tell you to keep watching, keep watching, keep watching. And then you watch, right? And you fap. And then you're sitting there. I was sitting there feeling depleted and like, shit. Okay. I felt good for a second, a sliver of time. And now all my energy's gone. And what do? You want to go to sleep. Because when you're having sex in real life and you're mating in real life, it's taking a tremendous amount of energy to reproduce life. And so now I was sitting there like, oh shit, okay, well, damn. And the only thing the dude left at that point is like, well, I guess I'm going to watch it again. Maybe I'm good for a little while, and then I'm going to watch it again. But when you get rid of it completely from your life, I promise you, you will have so much fucking energy. It'll be insane. And people in the NoFap community talk about like superpowers, right? Oh, I could do this, I could do this, I could do this. These are not superpowers, people. These are your innate and natural gifts that have been dimmed by this poison, this parasitic weapon. Okay, so the best thing you can do is realize there is a whole other side of you. There's a whole aspect of yourself that you may have forgotten. Maybe you've never even met because you've had this malaise, what's the word? You've had a blanket over your eyes to this. And so these superpowers, and I'm going to dive into this a little bit, these superpowers, really these natural powers, your innate gifts and powers, are incredible. I mean, since giving it up, not watching porn or fapping at all, my dopamine's been reset so I can go outside and be like, damn, this shit's beautiful. Like literally, colors appear brighter. Vocal tonality, voice is deeper. There's almost like a pheromone in the air. And I can even notice it on myself. I'm like, wow, it's not quite BO, it's like a musk. to you. And I know this sounds really fucking corny, but you have to trust me on this. Okay, so there's this like innate smell to you that people are drawn towards. I've noticed, I've had a lot of people checking me out. I'll have a lot of women checking me out, and I'll have a lot of men all of a sudden show me signs of respect. Signs that I didn't get before. And what's more, and I brought this up a little bit earlier, is this desire to protect and to serve other people. Like, okay, there's this situation's messed up. I'm willing to go confront this person or the situation and deal with it and deal with the consequences of it. I didn't have that before. Before I was anxious and I was withdrawn. And now I have this new life, this vigor, this powerful driver moving me forward. And so the same can be said for sex, right? If you're addicted to sex, it's very similar, I'd imagine, right? And so the anxiety is gone. I'm much more grounded, I'm much more present. And then if you start eating clean, you start working out, you start adopting good habits on top of that, you are an unstoppable force. Eye contact is better. There are so many positives to this, it's hard to describe, and you won't fully understand it until you experience it. But this has been my experience and how I ultimately quit pornography, quit fapping, got rid of it out of my life. And people are like, no, porn, fapping, it's natural. There's nothing natural about it. So if you've been conditioned to believe that, think about it, right? You're using your hand to get off. This is not reproducing anything, right? This is not creating life. All it's doing is draining life. And if you're watching porn, you're becoming a cuckold to two people. And it's like you're getting off watching somebody else get off. Like, think about that, like how ridiculous that is. How gross it is. Maybe it's gross, it's disgusting. And so separate yourself from that. And if you're open to it, give this a shot. If you don't believe me, try it. And at this point, I'm not even trying to convince you. I'm just giving you my experience. Because it's completely changed my life, getting it out of my life. Where now I'm like, oh, cool. I can have relationships again. Like, sweet. Cool. This is fun. Life is enjoyable. I didn't have that before. And I want you to seize that gift. Seize the opportunities that you were innately given by being born. And realize and discover your purpose along the way. I hope this has been helpful. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments or shoot me a DM at Mike Miller Fit on Instagram. I'll put that in the caption as well. And I wish you tremendously the most amount of luck and success on your journey, not just with this, but with anything else that you pursue in your life. I hope you find your purpose if you haven't already. I hope you pursue it, challenge yourself, test yourself every day, and become the person that you truly want to be.